And now to the third largest city in the United States, where more than 50 people were shot last weekend. Chicago has earned a new nickname, chi-raq, a nod to war-torn country of Iraq. CCTV's Rosa Kazan takes a look at why Chicago is now one of the most violent cities in the U.S.
Another day, another shooting in one of Chicago's most troubled neighborhoods.
We were riding past and somebody just got on side of us and started shooting.
This time, miraculously, no one got hurt. But 2016 is shaping up to be the bloodiest year in decades in the third largest city in the country. Data collected by the Chicago Tribune showed the city has already seen more than 1,200 gun shooting victims this year, compared to nearly 3,000 for all of 2015. Chicago police figures also show a dramatic rise in murders so far this year, jumping as much as 126% in February alone.
Our children are dying, and we must stop it. We must stop it.
Anti-violence activist Pastor Michael Pfleger says it's the worst he's seen since the 1990s. Every Sunday, he rallies his congregation to stand up to violence. But in some communities, he says, the odds are stacked against them.
When you have 25 to 35% unemployment in some communities, you have underfunded and failing schools, you have no options, no economic development, most people returning from prison with no options for them. It's the perfect storm for violence.
For several years now, Chicago has had one of the highest crime rates in the nation. Gun violence often claims the lives of teenagers and even children. These are just some of their faces. On display here outside the San Sabina Church, a reminder, Pfleger says, that behind the grim statistics are real lives. Lives like that of Freddy Cervantes, shot at the age of 19 at a friend's house party. 4 years later, his mother still doesn't know who killed her son.
They were both victims in some ways. He because he pulled the trigger, and my son because he lost his life. I put myself in the shoes of the mother of that kid, and I say, it must be so hard to know that your son is a killer.
This year's spike in violence comes amid a national spotlight on allegations of police brutality and racism, brought into focus here in Chicago with the release of a video showing a white policeman shooting black teenager Laquan McDonald. The video led to protests and a federal investigation of Chicago PD. Chicago Sun-Times reporter Frank Main says officers privately confessed they're holding back for fear of being questioned.
Their position is that there's so much more scrutiny on the police officers now that they are not being proactive. They are essentially slowing down their jobs, and as a result, criminals are becoming emboldened and doing more crime.
The police department says murders slowed down in April, but many officers worry that with the warming weather, as is usually the case, will come more crime. Rosa Kazan, CCTV, Chicago.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.